So I teach English and I develop e-learning content for English instruction at a university. And as we know as language teachers, students need lots of input. They need lots of comprehensible input. And that's a flash way of saying that they need to read lots of content and listen to lots of content to learn the language. But in the class, it's also a good idea to focus on the productive skills of writing and speaking in groups and so on. And so it's easy to neglect these receptive skills of reading and listening. So one solution is to provide students with worksheets to do, with extra homework of course, but this creates more work for the teacher and it's very slow to get the feedback about if students got the answers correct or not. So a good solution is to create e-learning content for institutions that have a learning management system, and particularly e-learning content where they can read something or listen to something, click on the answer and get the feedback for the answer straight away. So one of the options that people have for their students is to just use the textbook publisher learning management systems. So the system is that the students purchase a textbook and then they maybe scratch off a little code in the book, and then that gives them access to extra content for them to practice their language skills. And this is okay, commonly used solution, but the issue is that the content is not editable by the institution or not owned by the institution. So they might have a sentence that's perfectly normal in the United States, for example, that like Thomas catches the subway to work on Fridays. And that would sound pretty fine, but teach in Saudi Arabia and the students would not be okay with something like that because we've got Thomas as a name, I'm not sure what that means, and then okay, Subway, that's like that place that makes sandwiches, isn't it? And then work on Friday, they read that and say, oh okay, we're not talking about a Saudi context here. So it's a good idea to change it to something like Ahmed catches an Uber to class on Thursdays, to talk about daily routine instead. So because it makes it more relevant and students appreciate the effort to personalize the content. So of course, how about if you have a learning management system, how about just put the content directly inside that system? Well, one, that's a good solution of course, because there's no issues, but it might be a bit slow to roll out the content depending on how you've got it set up, of course. And there's also the issue that once you start putting the content within the learning management system, it does need to be in that specific format. It can't be transferred to other systems if the institution decides to change their type of system in the future. All right, and there might be issues with content on mobile phones as well, depending on which management system you have. Some of the content might need a bit of work to display on a phone, or have less options for mobile phone compatibility, which is of course really important for students these days to have access to content on their phones. So e-learning software that is external, that's a good idea, and there are many systems like that. So Quizlet and Kahoot and Quizzes and Socrative and many other ones, and they're really engaging and free for teachers to get started. They can personalize the content, they can share it with others, and actually the institution that I work for, they do actually have a spreadsheet, and then the teachers can copy the link from their activity and paste it on the spreadsheet so all the teachers can see the links. But of course the issue with that is that all of the content is scattered amongst all of the other teachers' accounts. And when an institution wants to look into paying for a storage space for that content, then it is quite expensive to purchase that system. All right, so a good system that I highly recommend is to use H5P. Now that's also an external system that is for creating e-learning content. And the P in H5P is a package. So you create the content either on h5p.org or Lumi, or there are other ways. You can create the content and then it gets embedded inside the learning management system. Okay, so it's external, but the students, when they log into their system, they don't see that they're going to some other website. It just works inside their existing system. And any management system that has the compatibility of LTI, a communication method, can do it. So it's free to create the content, which is great. But of course, they can't just, as a company, work for free. So it's not free to store it someplace. And it's not free to have the grades be sent from the H5P activity to the gradebook of the learning management system. So that's a paid service to do those two things, the storage and the sending of the grades. That's on h5p.com. But it's a highly recommended and cost-effective solution to create engaging e-learning content. So yeah, let's have a look at some different types of content available with H5P. There is a memory game, and so students click on a card and then click on the next card, and if it's a match, they get the cards. There's sort the paragraphs. Students are really good for teaching writing, so students click on the order and put the paragraphs in the right order. There are flashcards. It's really good for teaching vocabulary. Drag and drop activities are a good solution as well, where there is an image and they drag the cards to the correct place on the image. There is interactive video, so students can see a video that's from YouTube, and you can set it so that a video plays and then stops and a question appears on the screen, or questions appear down below or wherever. And there is an interactive book, which is sort of like a container which you can add content to in the future. So that's a way that you can just have one link to the content. For example, all of the content in Unit 2 of the textbook, additional practice content, and just keep filling in, adding content to that same section. So students go to it with one link.